we're back. A little bit of a hiatus. Work had to, get in the way as it always has to do from time to time. We don't begrudge it. We don't begrudge it. We just move and shake and do what we got to do. But welcome back to another live stream. Hey, we had a really good streak going. But here we are. Um, Today's topic is a very simple one, right? But complex and nuanced. Like we like to tease out and find these patterns in most of our discussions. That's the goal anyway, right? We should be looking for ways to enhance our understanding of things, right? Rather than we don't want to get into a shouting match that we're just screaming that the other side is evil, that there's something is wrong with them. We want to understand that your own experiences in life got you exactly where you are. So your thoughts, your concerns are probably just as real as my own. But one thing we can agree on that the game is cold. Right? But in order to have this conversation, we need to define it. And that's a simple way, but a complex thing. The game of life that we talk about all the time that people are mostly familiar with. But today we're most familiar with the dating game, and we understand that it sucks, right? It's a game, and a game denotes two things: that there are rules and that there's going to be a winner and a loser. In any type of competition, there's always going to be a winner and a loser. And as long as we continue to look at the game, the dating game, the game of life, as a game, there's going to be a way to win, and it's going to be a way to lose. We adhere to the rules, right? And this is from a male's point of view, and any woman in the chat can feel free to jump on and say a little something about it, what it's like for them. But for us, the way we were socialized, the way we were programmed, the way we were taught to think about these things is that if you do X, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get Y. That's the goal. If you do these things in the right order, then you're going to do this. You're going to be the one, and the things that we're told to do were very simple. Be out there yearning with the boombox in the rain, staring at the window as the rain falls down, and you sit there, you write the love letters, you write the poetry, you do all the things that you're supposed to do, and then you're going to win the game. But the game adjusts. Right? We go through different phases. If you're doing the game right, you go through different phases. You're not just the you when you first got into dating, when you first became attracted to women. You're not the same person. You're supposed to grow and evolve. Time does a lot of that for you, whether or not you decide you want to, you care to, on your own. It's going to force you. It's going to force your hand. That's a cruel thing and a lovely thing because we are about growth and change and adaptability and growing and becoming better. You can't do that by staying the same. You can't do that by adhering to the same rules you did years ago. You can't push her down on the swings and then someone runs over and says, oh, he's doing that because he likes you. The parent may be right, the adult may be right, but you can't do that today. There's a whole host of law enforcement available to skirt those type of ideas that you may be having. So you change, you grow, and you're supposed to adapt these new ideas. But you're still adhering to the same rules because you think that I do these things that it's going to work out. If I run afoul of these things, there's going to be some sort of punishment. There's going to be some sort of thing that ends up being a corrective action. If I yell, scream at you, there's going to be something that happens. When we don't see these things, when we don't have ability to put our hands on them, they're not tangible. Well, we sometimes start hoping that there's going to be some sort of karmic retribution. That karma is going to step in and it's going to be the thing. Whether or not you believe it, whether or not you think it is, you think it is not. But we think that that's going to be some comeuppance, that there's some way, somehow, something's going to come in there and fix it. So when we see things on social media, when we see people screaming, yelling, being hurt, we think there's going to be the comeuppance. We think there's going to be something that comes in there. That's the idea. We think that's part of the game, that there's rules to be adhered to. But the reality is the game is cold. I say it's cold is because the rules you were given sometimes don't apply to you. They apply to other people. Sometimes they apply unfairly to you. But you start realizing that this whole thing is cold. If you adhere to a set of rules that you don't really understand or that you watch be applied differently to different people, different genders, it starts grating at you. And you start being saying, wait. What's going on here? What's going on here? But listen, we're going to continue talking about this. We're going to use the case of recently with the Bachelorette season, whatever season, right? We're not really purveyors of that type of stuff, but people in the chat may be. But we're going to use it as an example. Specifically, we're going to use that the divided reaction of video resurfacing and then ABC's cancellation and what that really means, what lessons we can extract from that. But with that being said, once again, thank you guys for actually showing up. This means absolutely the world to me that you guys are here. Right? This is the best thing that you can do for this chat is absolutely subscribe, like the, like the live stream. This way, YouTube knows that we're here. YouTube is going through a bunch of different changes as usual, per usual. But what do we got to do? We just got to sit here. We got to adapt. We're going to change. You can notice there's small little incremental changes, specifically with YouTube Shorts. We're trying to adapt, trying to change. So a lot of the time during the hiatus was taken to sort of try and address some of these. Did we get it right? We don't know. Right? That's going to take some time to figure out. But in the meantime, we still want to show up. We still want to do the work. And there's been that commitment to keep the whole discipline thing going for a year straight, at least 2 videos a day. Sometimes I bless you with 3. Sometimes I throw a couple of shorts out there. Right? Sometimes I have fun with them. You can see the ones that are a little more inventive, a little more creative. This way, it helps rejuvenate me, make me feel like, okay, man, we can still have fun with it. One of the comments, I saw today, someone was like, yo, lose the music. I looked at that and I said, man, but I just found the music. Sorry about that. Yeah, I apologize. But we all like a little clever dad or uncle puns and dad jokes now. So now and again. But listen, we got some show. And again, apologize for the hiatus, but we were doing two live streams a week, like two in a row. So people maybe got a little bit spoiled. But if you guys have missed it, we are back. We are doing the thing. The next one may be Sunday, maybe from a little hotel room, but we'll see what we can see. We'll see what we can see. All right. So love and money. All right. For those of you new here, those of you catching us on the replay, we like to talk about most things that affect people. Love, money, right? And shopping, drugs, if you care about that. But we try to be a family show just in case my mom or my aunt watches and any type of time catches a replay. We don't want to embarrass me. We don't want to embarrass ourselves. But it's one of our favorite sections, close to crashing out. That's one of the ones we want. We like the most. But we got some interesting ones. Specifically, we know it's difficult, right? We're talking about the dating game, right? We're talking about how cold it is. We have dating apps that we like to use that make sense. And we use this in lieu of going out and meeting people because, meeting people can be kind of, shit. It can be a little bit scary, right? So the simplest thing we do, open up an app, right? And we know that the different amounts of data, what happens from men to women. But for those of you that are my age, those of you millennials, sometimes, specifically for men, right? And you can let me know if I'm onto something here in the chat. Whenever something seems too good to be true, we kind of, especially in dating, we all sometimes got to look at it and say, no, this can't be it. Why? This can't be it. Because this type of thing, and why I see, when it looks too good to be true, it's almost like if you're being treated as a woman on a dating app or a woman in real life, attention just comes your way. So, especially from New York, you got to question it. You got to look at it and say, I don't know about all this. I don't know about
22-year-old Lauren Tooley was arrested after meeting her Tinder date, choking, stabbing him, giving him oral, and threatening to kill him. Here's how dude got into this situation and how he got himself out. Well, on September 28th of 2022, police received a phone call around 5:45 at the Hills Apartments in Colorado Springs. They rush over because a man is naked, covered in blood, saying that he's covered in blood because she tried to kill him. And when they arrive on the scene, there's a woman there with blood all over her hands and arms, and he is got blood all over his body. And he proceeds to tell the police this story. You see, a few hours earlier, he was on Tinder and he met this girl, Lauren. So he decides to go over and hang out. She invited him over to the Hills apartment. So he shows up. He says a few minutes, into talking or whatever like that. She just takes his pants off and starts going down on him.
Now, who would complain about that? Who would complain about that? Right? This is like, wow. When does this ever happen to me? When does this ever happen to me? Outside of the movies, outside of your wet dreams, when does this ever happen to you? right? This isn't real. This is not a real thing that actually happens to people, but it's happened to me after a quick Tinder thing. All right.
He doesn't stop this from happening. Now, after she finishes, she asks him if she can tie him up. Now, he consents to this because, things are going pretty well already. Why not? So she goes, gets some duct tape, wraps up his wrists and wraps up his ankles, then walks away and comes back from her kitchen with a kitchen knife, telling him that he needs to go to the bedroom. It's at this point he realizes that he's no longer consenting to this and he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore.
No. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
I can get why you would be a little, a little worried at that point, right? She's got the knife. She's telling you to get into the bedroom. But if you're into this would be an opportunity, right? And we don't want to kink shame. We don't want to judge. This may be how you need to get your stuff off. This is how you show love.
But she's got a knife. He follows her to the bedroom. She lays him on the bed and she gets on top of him and starts thrusting him. And then during this process, cuts his left shoulder with the knife. She then grabs him with both hands and starts choking him for about 20 seconds. He says that when she lets go, he's gasping for air. She gets off of him, walks over to the side of the bedroom, grabs a belt, comes back, gets back on top of him, ties a belt around his neck, and starts choking him again for another 20 seconds. It's at this point when she lets go of him, he's choking and, trying to catch his breath again, that she starts to get very angry at him for bleeding on her bed sheets and getting his.
That's so rude of him, right? That's so rude of him, just sitting there bleeding on her stuff. There's more important things you could be doing at this time. You're supposed to be, turned on by whatever else is happening here. I wonder if this is the point in time where he starts regretting the actions. Regretting that actually he agreed to any of this. But some, they still may be, aroused.
Blood all over them, the blood that she had spilt out of his shoulder. So she forces him over into the bathroom, into the bathtub, and makes him wash himself off with the duct tape all over him. But she gets kind of hungry. So she says, hey, look, I'm going to order DoorDash. You keep it down. If you make a noise, I will kill you. So DoorDash driver arrives. She gets the food. He doesn't say anything. She makes him get out of the bathtub, come lay in the bed, and she covers him with a blanket. So now he's duct taped under the bed, and she starts eating her food. Now she's eating the food. Then afterwards, she gets kind of tired and falls asleep. This is when he notices that the knife is under the bed blankets where he's at, down by his feet. So he shimmies it up to him and he starts slicing open the duct tape from his wrist and his ankles. Now he's able to slowly sneak out of the bed, go over to the table, grab his keys and his wallet to try and make it out the door. That's when he bumps into a table that she has that he didn't see. So she wakes up immediately and he beelines it out the door, opens the door, flings open the handle, comes running down, screaming out in the hallway. People are like, what in the world is going on? That's when they see the man covered in blood. He said, please call the cops. She's trying to kill me. She chases after him, trying to attack him. She starts getting his blood all over him. She starts wiping his blood all over her arms and all over her hands and starts rubbing it on herself. And after hearing the story, that's when police arrest her for second-degree kidnapping, assault in the second degree, and assault in the second degree again, menacing, and false imprisonment.
Who's signing up? Right? Who's signing up for something like this? Because, one, it sounds like even down to you tiptoeing out and then you hit the end table and then she wakes up and starts chasing you down. As a guy, we're still kind of wondering, like, what was the initial activity? What was that like? Was it worth it? Was it worth this ordeal? Do you not tell this to anyone else? Or do you just chalk this up to, this is what it is in modern dating, trying to find someone out there to love you? And this is what we say. This is not within the bounds. This is not what's normal. This is not what you're supposed to be doing in the dating game. This is why this sort of behavior, this is when we have to say, it was kind of cold out there. You thought it was supposed to be nice, and this is what happened. So you go forward, and now you think this is what we have to do. This is what we have to deal with. This cannot be how it's supposed to actually happen. But again, on a lighter note, right? On a lighter note, one of the other issues we have today is there's a miscommunication, right, with dating. And this is why part of it, why it becomes difficult, why it becomes cold. men and women did, communicate very differently. And I think more and more videos are coming out that highlight the difference in that. Not saying that there's not compatibility, there's not a way for us to actually communicate together, but it often ends in misunderstanding. And one of those misunderstandings is about money. Is about who's supposed to pay, what's insulting, what's not. Generally, the men are a bit confused, and I think that's a very fair thing to say.
I'm so tired of you dudes disrespecting these women. Stop paying their bills, boy. The feminist movement, they worked for year upon year upon year to free women of men trying to convenience them. Stop trying to convenience these women. They don't want that. They want a hard life. They want to work a job. They want to pay into their 401k.
I know you want to pay into your 401k. We need to get out of your way and let you do this.
They want to join a union. They want to work hard. They want to work in the snow. They want to work in the rain. They want to drive to work every day. They want to work super hard. They don't want you, the man, letting them stay home and take care of the house. It's not 1940. It's not 1932. Think about that, boy. Think about that, boy.
Making sense? For us, right? Like Lance is saying, communication is the thing. Communication is critically important. When we don't have that, we're kind of left to just make assumptions on our own. What makes sense? What does not make sense? And often that leads to this misunderstanding. And if done enough, if done in the right or wrong ways, it leads to simply a breakdown of the entire thing. It's not what we want. It's not what we want. But in this sense, when men are being told like, hey, you got to pay all the bills. Well, okay, when you find a man that does that, what happens when he says, if I'm paying all the bills and it's my way, then the more of the bills I pay, the more we diverge from 50-50, the less say you have in this relationship, the less say you have over my sort of goings and comings, especially sometimes who I'm going to come in. Guys, that was high tier. Don't be mad about that. But listen, some of these older dudes, some of they're cats, they're standing on business. If you're paying all the bills, right, and you got to decide what you want, because for men that are looking at it now, if I'm going to pay all the bills, but we're still going to have 50-50 say, 50-50 type of authority, that doesn't really work. That doesn't make any sense, especially when the amount of people that can do these things are less and less and less. But there's a couple of different ways where you can go about, explaining that. And for those of you familiar with some of those shows like Cheaters and Cheater Busters, and they go and catch someone in the act, one of the most, the probably more entertaining ones is when the guys are just like, yo, I don't give a F about any of this. I don't give a F about it.
I'm not leaving. I'm going to tell this woman to pack my food up and pay her, because my food is important to me. You not important to me no more. Your ass is fired. I'm a hustle. All life.
Well,
I'm an old school G. Give me my. I've been old school G all my life, and I'm going to be one to the day I die. If you can't accept it, get your ass to stepping. And I mean that. Because, bitch, I take care
She's complete like flat. This wasn't how it was supposed to go.
of you. I take good care of you. I buy your house. You don't work. I pay your bill. I do everything. As long as your ass is taken care of.
He doesn't want to hear that. He don't want to hear that. He wants to do.
Okay,
This is what the other side of what we talk about, right? That when we look at, you want someone to pay all the bills, realistically, what does that now entail? Is that someone supposed to say, cool, I'll do all this, and then you're still gonna have authority over where I go, how I come? This is a difficult road to hoe. We have to understand that when we make things simply transactional, he or she who pays all the bills, that has the gold, is going to be one that makes the rules. You may not like that. Some people, I think, when they're being honest with themselves and they're being quiet, they may be looking and say, you know what, I don't gotta go to work. She's out here just cheating on me, trying to get a meal. Maybe that makes sense. But thinking that you're going to bust someone and he's going to sit there with the audacity and be like, yeah, man, this is what I'm afraid of. This is what I'm going to go with. What happens when he just says, yo, okay, fine. I don't care. I don't care. But this is not we're not saying that this is completely the one side of how it goes. What we often see is what younger men sometimes not being able to pay the bills. And that lead into a little bit of difficulty. A little bit of difficulty.
I didn't intentionally tell them that you didn't have a job.
Hey, why would you say that shit? Knowing I ain't got no money. And that shit hurt my feelings. You telling people I'm broke and I can't do for us, bro.
Because
I'm a whole man.
They thought you were paying for the bill. I had to tell them that you were unemployed.
Why would you tell them? Say my fucking business like that. That's embarrassing. You making fun of me.
How am I
making fun of
you?
a motherfucker like that shit weird.
But how am I making fun of you? Because you are unemployed. That's not making fun of you.
If you telling my
That's
business,
true.
everybody
I'm not joking. That's true.
Everybody
like, you're really
don't
unemployed.
need to know that. They don't.
Okay, then so we shouldn't be going
you
out
should
to
have just
eat.
gave me the money so I could pay for both of us.
She passed you the bill, and you didn't have no money.
And you gonna tell that man he don't got no job. What did you pass him a bill for?
Have you guys been in that scenario where you're with someone that, well, I won't go as far as say that you're unemployed and then you're dealing with this with your girlfriend, but you've been with a woman that makes more money than you? Are you the one that like the type that gets sort of like embarrassed about it, like it questions your masculinity? Or you just like, all right, man, this is kind of what it is, right? You chose a different tract in life. You've got a more specialized degree. You're better than me in that department. I think when we tie so much masculinity into provision, and then we completely ignore the data, we completely ignore the rules and say, in order for you to be, okay, we tied it to masculinity. In order for you to be masculine, you have to pay. You have to pay for dates. You have to pay the majority of this thing. If you're young and it takes you time to be able to do this, what happens then? Right? What happens? Do you not have the ability? Are you not considered a man? What is it at that point? We're being completely ridiculous at this point, this juncture. But listen, let's let this let's let this finish up.
The fuck type of shit is that, man?
I said he's unemployed.
No, basically,
I'll pay. He's unemployed.
Basically,
Basically what? That you're unemployed? That's not a lie.
That shit
that's
weird,
the truth.
Weirdo.
That's really what's going on. You don't have a job, so I'm just trying to let them know, like, don't pass it to you. We go there all the time.
That shit weird, man.
You sit here crying because you unemployed.
Like, that's the shit I be talking about when.
Listen, it's such an easy point to play out. It's like a lot of our egos as men. Such an easy point. Yeah, Lance, what you saying? That if you have to take the time to build something of yourself in order then to go out there. I get that. As a man, you should be taking the time and understand that's a part of the game. You cannot cheat. The time component, it's going to take time for you to go from where you are to where you're not. And for men, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear when I was talking with my father about, women, and he gave me, the advice I didn't want to hear. I was in high school. I was 16 years old. I wanted a woman to touch my wee-wee. Nah. He said, focus on your schoolwork. That's a garbage advice. That's the worst advice I've ever heard in my life. But he was right. Focus on your schoolwork means focus on the things that you need to do. The things that you need to do to build yourself and to be someone that is comparable, that is going to take time. But you don't want to hear that when you're young. You don't want to hear, hey, I need you to eat dirt for like 10 years. You don't want to hear that, right? Not at 16, not at 17, not at 20, not at 30. You don't want to hear anything like that. When you're young, it's expected both of them would be in a similar situation. Yes, you're absolutely right. You think at that age that we have the understanding and the wherewithal to say, how could I have anything? If you want me to provide, if you want me to pay for the dates, I'm 21, you're 21. What opportunities and resources do I have when we both grew up under the same sun? What could I possibly do right now to make anything happen for you? I got nothing, right? I got absolutely nothing. Shout out to my sister showing up in the chat. Yeah. Listen, sis, Prime. Of course, you're not eating dirt. We'll always make sure you have the most finest cuisine. If the family has to eat dirt between you, my brother, we have to eat dirt. You're going to have the tastiest dirt that we have available. That's what we do, right? That's what we do. We'll take care of you. You're still going to eat dirt if we're all eating dirt, though, but you'll have the choicest piece of the dirt. Well, listen, when we look at this, right, and let's verge off the topic a little bit, right? But it's still a game. It's still a game. When we look at age gap dating, and you look at it from a pure economic point of view, if you want a man with resources, he needs resources. And if the time component is part of that game, what am I supposed to do? That's the one thing you cannot cheat: time. When you see people go with the scammers and the movers and shakers and try to get it out the mud, hit a lick, you're trying to cheat time. That's all you're trying to do. And when you try to cheat time, best believe the system is set up to say and rob and deprive you of the time. You try to amass a couple $1,000, well, the system is going to take how many years worth of that from you? You do something more and more egregious, it's taking more and more. And then you go so far. And it doesn't have to be something like capital murder. You could just have multiple strikes. And then the system will again get to a point where it says, I'm robbing you of the remaining time of your life. The remaining time. I'm going to treat you as an adult, and I'm going to rob you of that time. I'm going to call it justice. That's the best thing to do. And sometimes it says, I'm going to rob you of their time, and at the end of it, I'm going to truncate it with an execution. This is what happens when you try to cheat time. There are consequences. Father Time is a greedy MFer and refuses to be denied. He will take his toll. And we have a system set up just for that. So you can't cheat that. You can't do anything about that. Back to age gap. If I'm supposed to have the resources, I need that time. I'm supposed to have the resources legitimately. Have that time. But if you're looking at me, 25 years old, 22 years old, and I remember, one of my earliest jobs, supervisor, took a liking to me early, right? Like Freeway says, early. And I'm just confused. I've got nothing to offer you but a young back and an energetic spirit. So confused because I was not indoctrinated into the game. I was 19 years old. And as you can already hear, my father gave me no advice, right? He gave me no advice. He did not prepare me for the real world. And she was like 25, 26 years old. I was just lost. And I was, admittedly goofy, right? So absolutely nothing come from that. I went from having preferential treatment at work, taken out of a workspace, walking around, surveying the stuff, and people looking at me, sneering, upset about what's going on. Like, damn, who's that guy? Again, I'm 19 years old. New. Then since I didn't know how to advance, I didn't know what to do because, again, I don't know anything about the game. All of a sudden, now I'm not the one being shown preferential treatment. And now I'm not the one being pulled out the work assignment and just gets to walk around and laugh at other people. Now I'm being laughed at by the other gentleman that's there. He was older slightly, but he knew the game. And, then rumors and stuff started. But again, I didn't know the rules. I didn't understand that. So what happens? I think it's unfair. I think it's cold. But all this takes is an understanding that if you're not indoctrinated in this, if you're playing it like this, yeah, Draz, I dropped the ball, dropped it, fumbled, bop, 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 bop. Completely ridiculous, right? I promised myself, I'll never let this happen again. Never. And then it happened again. I just keep fumbling. It takes men learn things the hard way or the harder way. That's really no in between for us. Sometimes if we're lucky, we can learn from someone else's mistakes, but he had to learn it the hard way. We still got to bump our heads against it, but it's part of it, what it is for the guys. I don't know what my life could have turned out with if I simply adhered to this and was under her wing, and I don't know. But as I am a fan of how my life is today, then I can't be upset about that. It sounds good. That's what I tell myself anyway. That's what I tell myself anyway. But besides that, listen, we're going to continue on. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, like the stream. It really we want to activate the algorithm, have it know that we're here. We're doing the YouTube work. We're trying to get to, 4,000 subscribers, by April. And then, something like 1 million by the end of the year. But in all seriousness, your attention means the world, right? That's we don't really understand sometimes how valuable that is, how much it means, but it's critical, right? So if you guys are paying attention, jumping in on the stream, supporting me in that way, this means the world to me. This is the only way we can grow on the channel. And I think we have a unique message in which we're not yelling and screaming at each other. And then these live streams are about us having some fun, having a good time, right? So we'll keep this going.
I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. Got 100K on my wrist and my.
That's good. That's good. Call me Penny. Yeah, I definitely didn't learn. I didn't learn the right way. I took that. I had to take that out. Yeah, I learned some lessons about watching other people. Right, the easy ones, right? The easy ones, like the ones like, yeah, don't do crack. Right, those are easy to look and ascertain. I remember when I was younger and in elementary school, when the price of candy was 5 cents, 10 cents. And they came in there with the DARE program and said, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't smoke. But everyone in the movies, on the TV, they smoke, they look cool, right? Chasing down bad guys, sliding across the hood, puffing on a cigar, right? Cigarette. It looked cool. Like we were supposed to do that. That was the way it was supposed to go. But then they broke down it economically and said, this is how much pack of cigarettes cost. This is how much smokers go through a week. This is how much they do a day. They broke it down. Right? This is like, I'm like 5th or 6th grade. They broke it down. Boom, 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 boom. And it was this astronomical number to me. Astronomical, ridiculous number. And I realized I can't do this. When $1 meant the world, I didn't have the wherewithal to spend, whatever arbitrary number they said at the time. And no clue about it. But that was the reason I never, picked up smoking. My father smoked. He said, don't do it. But, again, I admired my father. But every time I thought about a cigarette, I thought about candy, right? A little Debbie snack that I could have got, a Swiss roll. Who doesn't love Swiss rolls? Forget about calories. We didn't know about calories back then, right? Carbs, fats, none of that stuff existed. We just liked it. It tastes great. We're outside all day. A couple of Debbie snacks, little Debbie. Go out, Arizona iced tea. You just run around. But when they put that in the cents and say, yo, this is what it costs. This is the cost of doing this sort of business. I said, that makes no sense to me. None about the health, none about the blackened lungs, and none of that. I didn't care about that. When you made sense, you said, you cannot enjoy your sweet tooth if you do this, right? You cannot enjoy your sweet tooth. But again, shout out to fathers, right? Shout out to fathers. This is this is critically important. Fathers in your life, they matter. And to put a point on it, when you are not the father, how much that actually ends up hurting you, right? When we like to look at men and we like to think that they don't have feelings, it becomes easy to justify and rationalize the feelings that we hurt, the ones that we don't care about. The worst things you can do, and this is what men are also always talking about, they don't want to find out that the child they spent all this love and attention and care and energy towards is not theirs. But it happens in increasing fashion. What drives men crazy, what leads them to crash out, is when they see how flippant you are about it.
You've never cheated on him?
I'm serious. I have never cheated on him.
Do you really doubt that the little girls are yours?
Yeah,
Why?
I do have my doubts. Yeah,
Why?
because she has this ex that she somehow goes back to texting and calling and
DNA concerning the 2-year-old, and the result for the DNA test, Sam, you are not the father of Priscilla's child. We gave you a DNA test about this 5-year-old girl.
So the 2-year-old's not his, and the 2-year-old's cute, right? And you saw I want you to focus on her face. That's it.
You are not the father.
Why do you have pride? It doesn't feel good, right? I'm not gonna lie, that's what you get.
Who's been supporting the girls? Who's paying everything? Who's taking them to school?
Okay.
Who's picking them up?
As you should.
What
you should?
The as you should would have drove me crazy. The as you should would have drove me crazy. Rather than understandably say, yeah, I've lied to you. You were the better person to raise these children than the man I was cheating on you with, but for whatever reason, that didn't stop me from cheating. This is still what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. The as you should At the time when he's probably at his weakest, you're like, let me dig a little more. What we don't understand, and this is why the game gets cold. We thought that, listen, if I do the right thing, the right things are supposed to happen to me. I'm supposed to get the gold at the end of the rainbow, right? I'd follow it. I do I'm supposed to win. But this is when it gets cold. When you look at her face, and in order to protect the way the guilt, the shame that she has, it's easier to smother that, right? And men, we're talking. When it comes to the emotions that they say we don't have all the time, right? Oh God! When you feel a certain way, when you feel bothered, when you feel upset, then it becomes very easy for you to smother that in anger, sometimes smother that in action. When we feel bad, what do? Hit the gym, right? Hit the gym. Out to Blair. Gonna be squatting 315, no time. For reps, man, for reps. But we get active. But more importantly, let's focus on the anger thing. Because the anger is a great thing to smother how you're feeling otherwise, the guilt, the shame, embarrassment. So instead of addressing those, it's easier to smother those. But we know what it looks like for men. We know clearly what it looks like for men. We don't really understand what that looks like for women because, one, the way we were socialized in the very beginning. We didn't think women were capable of stuff like that. That was crazy. That was unheard of. That never happened. Reality starts to teach you different ways. Reality starts to say, hey, that's a cute notion. And I know I had a hand in making you think otherwise, but you need to understand something about this game that you're in. The rules don't really matter. If you're going to be done dirty, you're going to be done dirty. When we talk about, think about it like this. When you talk about, I don't want her to go on a girl's trip. If she's going to cheat on you, she's going to cheat on you. Doesn't matter what you do. Right? Same things the other way. You can monitor all this. If he's going to do it, he's going to do it. There's not much you can do. There's not much you can go and intervene and say, let me get in front of this. Let me make this happen. That's not how any of this sort of works. It's unfair. It sucks. But this is part of the game. But listen, also, we'll take a step away from the relational part, a bit, but we're still crashing out. Right? We're still going back and forth with this. One of the things today, right now, we see the economy. We see what your 401k is looking like. We see what the stocks are looking like. We see how difficult it is right now to sort of exist. And right now, the focus is absolutely that you got to get this money. By all means, you got to get this money.
It's so fucking nasty out here. I gotta get this money by tomorrow. By tomorrow. Literally by tomorrow. I have to get this money by tomorrow. If I don't get this money by tomorrow, I don't know what I'm gonna do. For real. For real. I'm so tired of being broke and working my ass off. I'm working my ass off and I'm still broke. Bitch, look at this shit. Look at this. Look at this. This shit is nasty. I have to get out of here. I gotta get this money. I gotta get this money. I gotta get this money. I don't know what else to say. I have to get this money. That's all I can say. That's the whole video. I don't know, bitch. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I have to do to get this money, but I have to get this money. I'm a hard worker. I'm a good worker.
It sounds good.
Ass off, and I'm still broke. I'm still broke.
So listen, we understand what's happening here. We, again, part of the game, right? We think that if I work hard, I'm going to make it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to hit it. One of the things I looked at a long time ago, it sort of came to me. I don't know if it was one of those epiphanies that come to you in the shower, but yeah, she got the car. She's broke, but sometimes we don't understand how close we are to not being, hair's done, skin looks great in a car, but we'll let it continue in a bit. It's sometimes you need to take a sort of step back. But you're thinking that you're doing all the right things. Society said you work hard, you're going to do this. Sometimes you see people with multiple jobs. And I've never really seen someone with 2, 3, 4 jobs make it. You get burnt out before whatever you're trying to do as sustainable. I need to work 3 jobs to pay my rent. That's not a sustainable thing to do. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough you to be spread out that thin. We see some people hustle right now, like they're going to live in their cars, like especially young men. I'm just going to live in my car. I'm going to shower at the gym and I'm going to save all this money. It's these things, these ideas are not a sustainable sort of way of being. One of the issues here is when you are comparing your life with what you think or what you want it to be, then it feels like, yo, I got to get this money. Especially you being from New York, right? If you're from New York, you understand this mentality. You understand this hustler mentality. You got to get it. You got to get it. You got to get it. But at some point in time, you need to slow down and take care of you. You need to look around and say, what am I doing all this for? The thing that was supposed to make you happy, you already achieved it, and yet you're not happy.
Hashtag adulting. Hashtag adulting. I will blow all of LA up. If I had big enough dynamite, I would blow all y'all up. You just don't know. I would blow all these people with money up, and I would take all their money. I just can't take this anymore. I gotta get this money. I gotta get this money. I gotta get this money by tomorrow. Like, I can't take it no more. I walk around all day and I get hit on by homeless crackheads. And I don't have no money and I don't have no car. I'm taking my little scooter and I'm tired. I'm taking my scooter. I'm getting lost. Imagine being lost and having to tote a big ass scooter. Like, oh my God.
That's a bit embarrassing, but you are in a car now, so that seems like progress.
It's nothing in this world. I wouldn't wish this shit on my worst enemy. Literally. I wouldn't wish this shit on my worst enemy. Like, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. Like, I don't know. Like, I wish death on a bitch before I wish this on a bitch. Like,
It sounds good.
I'm drained the fuck out. I'm fed the fuck up. Like, and then, like, I just want, like, I don't know what I want. Like,
What are we supposed to do with that? Like, what are we supposed to do with that? When you give us any of that as men, what am I supposed to do with that? And if we're being real, right? And if my mom was watching, turn it off right now. We're being real. You always got a way to make extra money. You may not like yourself. You may not like the way you look in the mirror, but it's an old profession for a reason. Old profession for a reason. If you're there crying on TikTok, Instagram, wherever it is, and thinking that this is somehow supposed to open up the floodgates of the GoFundMe, like, yo, I got to get this money. I got to get this money too by tomorrow. I'm with you on that. I totally understand that. But it's not upon us to make you happy. It's not upon us to just going through it. As you're always a girl's girl, right? You're always a girl's girl. And I've come to appreciate about you, that's your character. You're a girl's girl. For us, as men, if it's your responsibility to make her happy, right? And we'll use a little bit of extreme scenario for this crashing out one. And I want your opinion on this. If you think this is fair, if you think this makes sense, if we're married and you got your dude, tell me if this makes sense to you, right?
You just had sex with my wife and you send her back home to me, she better be smiling. Because if she come home and she gives me a high blood pressure, if she make my blood pressure go up, if my blood pressure go up because you sent her home with an attitude, because you and her going through something, nigga, I'm coming looking for you and her. That's the number one rule. Fellas, your wife out there getting her back dug out by another nigga, mind your business. Your beef ain't with him. It ain't with her neither. Until she come home and piss you off. That's when you grab her by her collar and ask her, you had nerve enough to piss me off? Then you grab her and push her back out the door and tell her don't come back until he make her happy.
Now hold on. Hold on. Before you flip out, let's just understand what he's talking about. And tell me that doesn't make some sort of sense. You already stepping on me. He made you upset. And then you come home and you're upset with me. No. You guys go make that up. You fix that. You come back here with a smile, right? Let's maybe take that away from, you stepping out. Like if your boss upsets you, if your friends upset you, you don't got to take that out on me, right? You got to go back out the house. You got to solve that thing and make it make sense for the rest of us, because we're not supposed to deal with all that. That's not on us. I didn't earn that. I didn't do any of that. I think this is a novel idea. I think this may be a way that makes sense. It depends. You let me know. Rather than rather just divorce and not have to deal with that person doing that thing. This is an option. This is an option. Listen, but we got a lot more that we're gonna talk about. A lot more that we have to decide what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. All right. So we got to agree to disagree coming up. If NYC is good for one thing, it's putting hands on you. You were absolutely right. You were absolutely right. You would be in an abusive relationship with New York City for the rest of your life. You had no idea. Every 2 weeks, it's coming by and says, I need that. You're like, what do you mean? It's city tax, right? He said, but I already paid the tax. No. It was state tax. It was state tax, right? Wait, you mean the income? No, it's federal tax. No, I need that. And if you live in Yonkers, it's like, no, I need that tax too. New York is New York is perfect for that. You love the content. Listen, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Things like that mean the world. Couple comments came through over the last week. People just like, yeah, no, I listen to this every day. As a creator, that means the world because I'm going blind sometimes, recording and editing and saying, make this a little more clever. Let's re-edit this. It took me 3 takes to make this thing. But when you guys actually feel like this is worth it, you get some value from it. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that you and I and the rest of us can have a nuanced conversation about topics that sometimes suck, sometimes that are hard to hear. But if we can create a little community, we can protect the brand. We understand that we're all in this thing together. Sometimes you need to cleave. You need to let something go. And if it doesn't fit how you see to live your life, you got to let it go. Right? You got to let it go. But this is agree or disagree. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. You let me know what you think about this, where you side on this.
Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my fiance when she sided with my ex? I got divorced 6 years ago. My wife had been cheating basically our entire marriage. Neither my daughter or the kid she was pregnant with were biologically mine. I went to court to make sure I didn't have to pay child support. She had committed paternity fraud, so it was difficult but not impossible. Her ex-boyfriend was the father. Her and my daughter moved into his apartment, and that was that. I kept my house and had no parental rights or responsibilities. It fucking sucked. I loved my daughter. Anyways, I moved on. I met someone new eventually. She had a 5-year-old son. We were planning for our future. After 3 years together, we got engaged. All was looking good. Then my ex's life imploded. Her boyfriend died. They had a grand total of like $20,000 in savings. His parents were the beneficiaries of his $100,000 life insurance. They put it into education funds for the kids. My ex can't afford her life anymore. This is
now whose problem is this? Right? Neither of the kids are mine. Right? You got over me. Congratulations. You got that. Neither kids are mine. You left with the dude you cheated on. Karma, right? If karma existed, karma came around and said, I got you, bro. Let me get him out of the frame. Okay. Now the life insurance, his family said, oh, great. Let's put it into educational funds so these kids can have something going forward. But she's like, nah, I kind of needed that. Right? I need that. Now she's in a bind, right? Now she's in a bind. Okay.
Not my problem, in my opinion. Her family won't help her. She has 2 young children and no support. She has been reaching out to me. So she's been reaching out to me. Fuck that noise. I told her no. I told her to leave me alone. I blocked her everywhere, so she came by the house. I wasn't home. My fiance was. They talked. I'm in the wrong, apparently. I got home and they were still talking.
Could you imagine that? Right? Could you imagine that? We're going to make this genderless, right? Your ex, who you blocked, right? Who did you dirty, the dirtiest, the kid's yours, right? The kid's yours. Did you dirtiest. Now is reaching out again, comes back, you come back home after a hard day of work, sweating in the oil fields, right? Whatever your laborious job is, it usually tends to be those things. But you come back home and your fiance is there chatting it up in the living room, smoking and joking with your ex. But I blocked you, right? I blocked you. And presumably we had this conversation about Shorty. We had this conversation. So what could she be actually doing here? Why are you talking with her? Why are you sitting here enjoying the conversation? When I walk through the door, you give me this look like something's wrong with me, like I did something wrong.
Saying I need to help my ex. That's not going to happen. My fiance said that she wasn't sure she could marry me if I was so heartless. I agreed and I called off the wedding.
That's what we like to hear.
I told her that her and her son had 30 days to get out of my house. She tried backtracking, but she had shown me her true face. I'm apparently just a walking wallet. I have zero interest in that. My ex-fiance moved back in with her parents. I made sure that everything that belonged to her was out of my house. Her and her parents have been trying to contact me to get me to change my mind. I don't see their point at all. I don't expect my partner to agree with me on everything, but on important things, we need to be a united front. My ex and her kids have moved in with their boyfriend's parents, but they aren't really welcome there. Not my problem.
Yeah, I agree. Not his problem. But this is when we say the game is cold. What part of it, right? What part of it is cold? What part of it is coldest? Do we think that the fact that, yeah, I try to pull the wool over your eyes, I try to manipulate you and have you raise these children, raise these kids that are not yours. A lot of you say, yo, this is yours. This is yours. I need you to step up. I need you to do the right thing. And I presumably got you for a couple of years, so a little bit of time. And then we turn around, ta-da, it's not yours. It ain't happening. It's not where it's supposed to be. Which part of it is colder now that he refuses to help? Because to me, that sounds natural. Then for the new fiance to be like, yeah, you should be helping. You should be doing this. And I get it, right? Jasmine, this is going out to you, right? This question is directly towards you, the girl's girl champion. That she's now siding. Your man comes home, your fiance comes home, and he's like, yo, what are you doing? And you, being a girl's girl, say, yo, you need to help her out. I know she lied to you. I know she tried to trick you. And now she tried to manipulate you in the worst way. You need to help her out. Because you feel that, hey, I also have a kid from a previous relationship. I would want that assistance. So I'm going to throw that out to you. You're supposed to do that. And then when he balks, you hit him with the ultimatum, right? The ultimate trap card, the ultimate high joker. Here it is, right? Here it is. What do you do after that? What do? You think that's a fair thing? Do you think he's right? Do you think he's wrong? They say, you got 30 days, you and your kid, get out. You had it locked, right? You had it locked. Let's see what Jazz said. Right, most likely told him to take care of his daughter, which is correct. We just lost me. No, both of those kids are not his. She lied to him and had him believe that the kids were his. This is why he broke up with the first one. Now the second one is here with a kid from a different relationship. Lets the ex in that lost her boyfriend, that the family's not really welcome, that doesn't have any money, and the new fiance saying you should help her out. And he's like, bet, you all can go. Get out. I think that's cold, but in a different type of cold way. I think it's cold as in, yes, that's what we're supposed to do. You're heartless because this is a decision that requires you to be heartless. You just cannot walk around being led around by your emotions, and that someone gets to tell you what's supposed to do. And when you disagree, they're going to hit you with here's the ultimatum. Here's what you should be doing. So listen, if you're a girl's girl, Jazz, I know you're a champion. You're the princess of the girls. Make that make sense. I don't ever talk to you again. That must also play itself in mind. Yeah. Now the kid is saying, yeah, he's out here presumably just the pull-out champion of the world, or he's shooting blank. So he's just like, nah, but he thought he had kids. He thought he had those. Yeah. Yes. The shorty from the Steelwalkers. That's exactly it. That's what I'm saying. Right? The new fiance, she definitely fumbled that. Right? But in a critical, important way that taught him a lesson. Yeah, I'm not doing this again. But as a girl's girl, you can see how she went and said, listen, this is what we're supposed to do. Right? We're supposed to take care of them. This is what it's up. And listen, for the chat, right? This is an important thing. I want everyone to pay attention to this. This is critical. You got a verified girl's girl, right? Jasmine admitting, yeah, The girl's messed up. Right? We need to have an applause for that. And I know you're gonna go back to the girls continuum tribe, and you're gonna be like,
let that shit happen to me though.
No, I never said that. No. We gotta hear in 4K, which is gonna be downgraded to 1080p when it gets uploaded to YouTube. But the point is, sometimes we can find the medium. We can find what makes sense, right? Get them up out of here. That's all I can do. That's all I can say. So I think we're all on the same page here, right? Fiance fumbled. This is wrong, right? The guy is not the asshole. I think the guy's a champion. I think the guy should write a book. Right? He should hold seminars. Tell us all how not to fall into these traps. This is what we need to know. This is what we need to understand. But what happens, right? And we're still talking about agree, disagree here. What happens when it's a little more murky, right? What happens when you're caught in the middle and I know Shorty's having an affair. I see it. Do I do? No, now it's my boy. It's my best friend, right? Do I go and tell him? Yeah, obviously, right? It's my job. I caught them out, a little rendezvous, little French word we borrowed. I caught them out. I said, oh, damn! I'm on the phone already. Boop, boop, boop. Texting, FaceTiming. Here's it. I catch him, caught him in 4K. That makes sense, right? If you see your friend, your best friend, getting cheated on, of course, you think, yeah, I should be able to say something about it. Provided you're not the one participating in the cheating. That's not you. That's not what you're doing. What happens, though, when you catch your mom cheating on your dad? What are you supposed to do? You say something? Do you be part of this? Do you get in the middle of this? Do you stay in the child's place? What happens when she needs you to assist in cheating on your dad? What are you supposed to do? And then, more importantly, what do you do with that pain? Right? What do you do with that pain?
This, if he wasn't my dad, of course I would never told him. It's my mom. But you got to understand, I'm in a tough position. You're my mom. This is my real dad. So
I think Jeremiah should have stayed in a child's place.
Right. Now, I'm glad you said that. I didn't mean to cut you off, Mom. How can you tell me stay in a child's place? A child's place,
because I had you text and stuff. Yes, Mommy did.
Okay, so you can't say that then.
I did not know you actually went to Dad and say, Dad, Mom cheating on you.
I would have held that moment and not said nothing. I would have been hurting my dad, because I know my dad is a good man.
Yeah. Now, this is cold. I think it's fair to say, this is cold. Where's the expectation there? Where are the rules here? Right? And what I always like to focus on is person's look, the look of contempt they often have on their face when they're acting and they're looking and saying like, yo, of course, this is how it's supposed to go. How dare he not adhere to his mom? He should have stayed in child's place. And even he was super respectful. Like, hey, sorry to cut you off. But listen, this is what it is. This is what it is. Was not what it's supposed to be. This is upsetting. As a young man, what are you supposed to do there? What's the right move? I think he did the right thing. And as hard as it is for him to sort of go through that and then have a mother that would be upset at him. And again, what we saw earlier with the Latino Still Wilco show, that it's easier to smother your guilt and shame in sort of anger, outrage, righteousness, rather than addressing that you're actually just wrong. Because I can't believe the opposite, right? I can't believe the opposite to be true, that you are simply incapable of feeling these things while laying claim to being the more emotional, the more, adept at dealing with emotions, that you just don't care, that you just see a man sort of plight and you just don't care. You're just not moved from it. I refuse to believe that that's actually what's happened. That's actually the outcome. Because how can it be? I think certain women and certain men, but in this case we're talking about women, are very adept at rationalizing their behavior, demonizing the same behavior they see in other people. They're very adept in skirting that and then turning around and smiling in your face and then placing the blame elsewhere. Where we fall short, and this is the part of the game that men often find themselves at. we look at it and we think that we're supposed to be the stewards of another woman's emotion. That I'm responsible for you and the way you feel and internalizing that and regulating your emotion. And you do that because you were kind of, again, socialized to do that. People that are at or around my age, millennials, right? We understand that this is how we were sort of groomed to behave. Generations before us were kind of groomed to behave the same way. Gen Z is now looking and saying, F that. F that. They come from a transactional sort of dynamic. And they say, what am I getting for all this? I cannot help but be envious of that sort of act. What am I getting for this? And we are now littered with more and more examples of what happens when you don't look at it from that sort of stuff. When CJ said, that women are in business, and men are in love, that resonates quite a bit with a lot of people because it seems to be more and true. But we'll continue. We're going to talk about it. So again, shout out to you guys that are in here, are in the chat. Appreciate you guys. The live streams are probably one of the most complicated things that I sort of try to put together. They're fun for me to do, a little more energizing to get these things out off the cuff, off the dome, having a topic, having an idea. But in terms of just reaching new subscribers, new viewers, this is probably one of the best things that we can do, even though the YouTube algorithm is unknowable. Right? It's the closest thing to a woman, right, that you can artificially create. Sometimes it's vicious, sometimes it's nice, and it'll bless you, and other times it just ignores you. But all the while, we show up, we do the things. So if you're new here, subscribe. If you feel so so moved, donate to the channel. But share the video, and we got some merch in the store. And we're always trying to create, we're always trying to innovate, trying to make small incremental changes over time. That is the name of the game. That is my belief as a man. That's what we should do. This is how you protect the brand. I like that saying. That's going to be my new slogan going forward. That's on a couple new shirts, by the way. Protect the brand. But listen. So the main topic today, again, about the game, about it being cold. Part of it is when we have that rationale understanding that when you do wrong, there should be punishment. We understand double standards exist. We can't get around that. We can't pretend like it's not a thing. It's very real. It happens again and again and again and again and again. What actually happens when you have something like Taylor Frankie Paul, right? And again, we're cruisers, right? In this space, this reality show, there's more secret lives of Mormon wives. We're cruisers. We don't really understand what's happening, the dynamics, the characters involved. We're cruisers. We're driving by an accident. We're slowing down, holding up traffic. We're saying, "Damn, that's wild." Sometimes when we see the worst sort of traffic, we stop and we want to say, "This accident better be severe enough to justify why I stopped." And we look and say, "Oh, it's a fire." Yeah, that's right. And then we don't feel so bad about being caught up in traffic. So yeah, we're cruising by, right? We're rubbernecking. And I don't know if that's a Jersey or New York term, right? But rubbernecking. We're checking it out. That's us right now. We don't know much about this Taylor Frankie Paul, but what we do know is what abuse looks like. What it's supposed to happen is when you do this, you're supposed to be vilified. You're supposed to be looked at. You're a monster. How could you? Right? And I don't say in a sense to be, sort of unfeeling or callous, but you'll see the video. When you're throwing a chair and the baby is in vicinity of the splash zone. Well, we understand from people, if people don't know, like I wrote a book and it's on Amazon. Right? I'm really super duper proud of it. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Right? If you look, it's right over my shoulder. Right? You can see the book. But when I was learning about the craft of writing, when you want to make a character and know that the character is a villain, you don't just say, "And he's the big bad wolf." You have him do villainous things. This way, we all kind of automatically understand. We automatically see, oh, it's a bad guy. If I introduce a character and he buys some ice cream and he gives it to a little girl and then he rounds the corner, he kicks a puppy, you're like, oh, that's a villain. That's a villain. And no one questions it, right? Because you did villainous things. That makes you a villain, right? Doesn't matter that you did good before it. You did a bad thing, and we all universally say this is a bad thing. Not the internet. The internet looks and says, hey, if a man does it, he's the worst scum on the earth. If a woman does it, it's because the man did something first. This is the game. This is the coldness about the game. That the rules that bind you in place, that chain you in place, you think should be universal. You think they should adhere to everyone else. And it's not always just about we're talking about abuse. Sometimes we're also talking just about the reality that, hey, if you move like this, this is supposed to happen. If you do the work, you do the right thing, this is supposed to happen. And it doesn't. Again and again and again. One thing applies to one gender and doesn't apply to other. The harshness of life applies to one gender. The consequence of life applies to one gender. The cancellation of opportunities applies to one gender. And then we look confused why men are like, wait, what? I thought when we spouted more and more about equality that we understood that we're more or less human. And one of the biggest things that people that come to these spaces that as men we create, one of the first things we're going to teach people is that, yes, you are human. Women are human as well. Take them down from that pedestal. Strip the pedestal from under them. But give them a gentle landing, right? Don't be a jerk about it, but give them a gentle landing and say, that's what it is. The same vices I struggle with, the same corruption of the spirit I struggle with, so do you. The same vices, the same evils you struggle with. The highest highs, the lowest lows, you're still the same. When we make it seem that men are the ultimate evil, yeah, it's easy to accept that. It's easy to say, oh yeah, that's natural. The data starts to say something differently. One of the things that my doing a little bit of research for this show was looking at rates of child abuse. You would think automatically, yes, men. Any type of violence, any type of action like that, we always say it's the men. The highest rates of child abuse are women, like 52%. Not much, but it goes against the grain. You wouldn't think that. But women aren't vilified for that. You're not the worst of you for these behaviors. Men are. When we look at the conversation being had when women say that a man has to do and a man is responsible for what these other men are doing, we're responsible for the worst characteristics of the worst of us, even though we're pious saints. We've never done anything wrong in our life. We've never done anything wrong. But because some guy did you dirty across the United States, and you get on Instagram, you get on TikTok, you get on Facebook, and you shout, yeah, these men aren't lonely enough. These men, blah, 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 blah. Insert whatever narrative you want. Something wrong. Something has to be done about it. Something has to be done about the men. We never look and say, what is it that happens with women? And even when we have the media, even when we have the proof, we still look and say, not so much. Again, and the specifics behind this, we don't really care about. We're just trying to look at the lesson. We're trying to look at this and have this understanding, right? That's all.
Welcome to TMZ Live. So as we speak, the brass over at ABC are in crisis mode, we're told, after we posted a video that we obtained of the incident where Taylor Frankie Paul was arrested and ultimately convicted of aggravated assault, felony aggravated assault.
It is a 2023 fight that she got into, and fight is an understatement, with Dakota Mortensen, who, of course, is now her ex-boyfriend, father of her son, Ever.
So we told you about this incident, but we hadn't seen the incident until we obtained this video. It's about 3 minutes long. Normally, we edit things down for the show, but we're going to show you the full thing. and then we're going to talk about the fallout.
Yeah, look at you. Look. Yeah, look. This is called physical abuse. Yeah. Yeah. See, Taylor, this is all you do. It's the only thing you know how to do is hurt me. Huh? And you think this is okay? It's not okay.
I don't give
Let me go. Stop. Dude, leave me alone. Oh my God.
She hurled that. She hurled that with her whole waist, right? But here's the point, right? Here's the point right here. The baby's right there. The baby is right there.
Your daughter is right here. Oh my gosh.
So again, what the things that came out from this video, once this video was made, public, and for those that fill in the context, she was about to be on. They filmed season 3, I think season 3. I don't know. Again, we're cruising, right? We're rubbernecking, but she had the next season, The Bachelorette, coming up. Haley Frankie Paul has 3 children, has arrest for abuse on her record. Remember, this is 2023. Baddies don't get bullied. Listen, this is 2023. This is a no. When ABC said, I'm going to depict, right? And this is the other part. This is another part of the game. Right? And we'll take a second to diverge topics here, but this is an important part of the other game. When we're told how to act in relationships, this is through the power of media. This is through the power of inundating your senses and showing you what we want you to do, how we want you to behave again and again and again and again and again and again and again. This is all we need to do. We don't need to go out there, put our thumb on the scales to control you, to take advantage of you. We don't have to do any of these things. All we have to do is show it to you, show you how you should be, show you how you should act, show you how we think you should react in this scenario, that scenario, that scenario. It's the easiest thing we can do. So when we're trying to say that this bachelor or this bachelorette is the most eligible person, one of the prototype eligible person in the United States today, we're taking it from, hey, you're not the stepfather, you man that stepped up. That was the programming that my generation was thrown at. This generation is more susceptible to media. You grew up with it. You grew up inundated with it. The first thing you saw outside of you looked at your mom or the doctor when they pulled you out. First thing you saw was TV in the corner, the phone in your face. So how do I now reach you? Well, I make these programs, and they do famously, right, in terms of ratings. People tune in. People devote parts of their lives to watching these shows. So now we're telling you, men, that the most eligible woman in the United States right now is a woman with convicted or charged with domestic violence on her record with 3 kids. We're saying that this is what it is. And we're going to spin it. We're going to cover it. We're going to make it look good as long as you don't pay too much attention. Now, people are saying that the guy in the video, he decided a week or so before the Bachelorette was supposed to release, he dropped this video. TMZ was like, oh, word, let's play this. ABC then said, let's wait, right? We know what's supposed to happen, right? You take your pick. Jonathan Majors. We know what happened. Jonathan Majors, what happened? All right, you're out of here. You were King the Conqueror. Not that I was a particular fan of how that rendition went, but you got him out of pocket. Johnny Depp, right? Got him out of pocket. There's a litany of men who ran afoul of a woman and then were canceled completely. You're done. Your career stalled. Done. Right there. Dead in place. Dead in the water. ABC. This is part of ABC's game because we want to tell you what you should be liking. We want to tell you what is good for society by thrusting this in your face. Bus was used on purpose, by the way. A woman with 3 kids with DV. We put that in your face and said, this is what you're supposed to like. This is what's up. This is what is the thing that you should be running yourself over. So he said, boom, bet. I'm going to drop it. Was it malicious? Probably. Right? Probably. But what does that matter to us? Doesn't matter to us at all. Here's the information. Here's the truth of what's happening in real time. This is the type of person that you're put forward. So again, what does ABC do? Do they immediately cancel her? No. They immediately say, I'm going to cancel this season. No. They try to do a little ad thing to soften her image. They have her come on the morning show and try to have her say her piece. But what do we need to hear when we see the video? When we see you hurling a chair with your daughter in the vicinity right there? We see someone unhinged, maybe for medical reasons. They need some sort of help, assistance in some way. But we see someone that says, it does not matter. I'm more upset, and this is the most important thing to me, or this overrides everything else, to the point that I'm putting my hands on you. Now, this is the cold part of it. That what happens on the internet? You see so many renditions of saying, once ABC realized that that little softening technique wasn't going to work, it wasn't going to make people say, oh, okay, no, we understand. We understand. It's all fine. It's all fine. No, play the season. We understand that the part of the cold game is like this. Like, cool, we got to cancel this. Because the ratings could be bad. It could look bad for our image. They cancel it. Honestly, they should have done it immediately, but they wait and see, can we salvage this? So we're left with understanding that it doesn't really matter who you are. As long as you are not a man, we can see what we can do about massaging your reputation. We can see what we can do about pushing this forward. The internet then comes and says, well, why haven't we canceled the NFL? By the internet, I mean a lot of women are saying, why haven't we canceled the NFL? It's full of abusers. Why don't we cancel that? Why don't we cancel Chris Brown? He did this to Rihanna. He's an abuser. Why don't we cancel that? When you exhibit this sort of behavior, when you exhibit this sort of lack of understanding and reasoning, because the point you're trying to make, the emotional point you're trying to make is more important than the facts of how things work, that's cold. This is what men sort of end up feeling like, what the hell are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to operate? How are we supposed to move? When your feelings get to be paramount, they get to be the most important thing that you're willing to justify anything in between, how does this make sense for us? It does not matter if you do the worst thing, as long as you can go point and say, but a man did that. You want to tell why we didn't cancel Chris Brown? You need to go and ask the other women. Jazz, you need to go ask the other girls. Men didn't go about canceling Chris Brown. No, you women tried it. And then you said, no, he's doing a concert. He could dance. He's light skinned. Let me go. Right? You guys kept in business. You paid $1,200, $1,300. You paid the rent money. Go take a picture of him. A suggested picture with him. You paid that. You said that wasn't as important. That's not on us. When you looked at NFL, well, why are these people employed? Then you need to talk to the owners of these NFL teams. You need to talk to the president. You need to talk to the people that still keep this thing employed. Yes, there are some very egregious cases where a person is completely let go. But those aren't important. You don't lose those examples. We just want to get there because a feeling says this is supposed to be how it is. I feel like this is wrong. I feel like this should happen. And when you have a woman at the end of that, when the rest of us are saying, I feel like she should be canceled. I feel like you should not champion this sort of behavior and say, this is what makes someone the most eligible woman in America. The game is cold, whichever side of it you're playing. When it comes down to money, yes. Money being the paramount thing, yes. I don't know how money feels to you. Is it cold, hard cash? It's cold. Right? It's cold, hard cash. It's unfeeling. Doesn't matter. Profits over feelings, profits over everything else, probably profits over prayers. This is the society we live in. And the longer you're on playing the game and trying to make it make sense, you're trying to make it actually worked like the way it was lent out. For people that actually played Monopoly, and if you've ever finished a game of Monopoly, shout out to you. In real time, we know the truth. What happens? Someone starts cheating, right? I land on your little property. You got hotels on that, right? I can't afford to pay, but I've been stealing money this entire time. I'm the bank. I can make that payment, right? Or I need to wheel and deal from you. I got to make something make sense here. Every game of Monopoly I've never finished. It ends up with the board being turned over because someone landed on a railroad and that guy had all four of them. Or you hit that boardwalk and you just say, yeesh. Yeesh. There's a hotel on boardwalk. You thought you were gonna get $200, but that die said no. No, I'm gonna put you in debt. Right? I'm gonna put you in debt. I'm gonna have to give up something to make something work. It's cold. And for those of us, whatever part of it you're playing, whatever part of it you're trying to make sense, you're going to have to realize that not everyone is playing by the rules. Not everyone is playing by the rules. And the minute you expect them to, you get your heart broken. And not just in a relational sense, in the sense that you understand this is abuse. Now I'm learning about reactionary abuse. She's abusing him because he abused her. There's no accountability for those actions. I don't think there's a way you can square hurling a chair, 2 chairs, in the vicinity of your daughter because you're so upset at this person. And then, with knowing all that, ABC says, yeah, we'll put you over here. And some other Secret Life of Mormon Wives, they're like, yeah, it's cool. Let's continue. When the world made you aware, ABC, of this person's sort of behavior, it was not a secret. When you decided to interview her and put it through the rigorous screening to be the bachelorette, you saw that in the file. You said, as long as it doesn't get out. As long as it doesn't get out. And we've seen this. The other show, Rehab Addict, when the I forgot, I don't know her name. Again, we're cruisers, right? When she used a, pejorative term for black people, and HGTV sat on that. It wasn't until the footage was leaked that they said, "Oh, we got to cancel the show." Yeah, money is definitely at the root of a lot of this behavior, but we cannot pretend as if we don't have a different sort of social media judicial system. A woman does it, it's fine. There's a reason why she did the worst thing you've ever seen, because a man made her do it. We cannot operate on good faith in these terms. If you think that there's going to be some sort of accountability from a lot of people, especially people online, you're never going to see it. You're never going to see it. So for men, we got to understand, we got to change up the game. The game is cold. We might have to be a little bit colder. We may have to be like the man that's saying, oh, you think my fiance, you think I should take care of this ex that lied and did one of the worst demonic things you could do to me. You think I should just do what you want me to do? Nah. He was cold with it. Took the feelings out. What's left? Cold, hard cash, right? Cold, hard emotion. Cold, hard logic. I got to do that. But man, we're good at this. We're good at sometimes setting the emotion aside and saying we have to make these decisions that make sense for us. That's where we have to lie. We have to make informed decisions that make sense. Sure. Does that mean you get cut off from potential happiness, potential relationships? Time and time again, it might be. But the other side of it is you being one of these guys on this show and still vocals and taking care of kids that are not yours. And they look at you in the face and saying, as you should. So the men out there, for the people out there, from women out there, I say to you, as you should. Take care of yourself, as you should. Take care of your family, as you should. You protect your heart, but don't be completely closed off if that's what you want, but protect it. Make informed decisions. Make things make sense. If you want others to treat you like that, in that sort of way, right? In that fair sort of way. The only way you can warm up the coldness of this game is to create your own pocket of this universe and make yourself that in this realm, this is how we move. And when you don't adhere to these, you got to get out. You got to get out. I got to let you go. I got to show you the door. Get out. Let me pack your things. You got 30 days. You and the brat have 30 days to go. That's how you have to move. It's cold, but I don't see another way to warm this up. If you do, I'm all ears. I'm all for it. Right? And again, thank you guys for joining the stream. These things mean the world to me, right? You're here, your attention, that matters. And then, slowly but surely, we'll convince YouTube, hey, maybe we should push this more. We should give them a little bit more love. Get more people in the chat. But from the creative side, watching you guys actually converse in the chat while I'm talking makes it feel like, okay, I'm not talking to dead air, dead space. Later on, if I create the time, I'd like to create a place where we could do like little call-in shows. People could share their little stories. Try to see a good way to vet those before we get the show, YouTube strikes because people are getting vulgar. But we'll see what we can see. We'll see a way we can do this. But in the meantime, thank you guys again.